Hey, bud.
Hey, dude. How you doing?
Not bad. I'm gonna get rid of the delay.
So, tell me about yourself. I know you're a Ripple Carry exclusive, but
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks goes out to Ripple Carry for hooking it up. He's a
he's
good man.
he's over there probably just using baby
Touching
oil.
himself.
Yeah, exactly. He's pouring
Yeah.
baby oil over his chest right now.
He's getting all excited.
Um, so, as I do with everybody, let me know your league, your race, and like kind of what you want to work on overall.
So, Diamond 2 Zerg.
Okay.
Right now I get and then I got I go between two counts and Diamond 2, Diamond 3, and it's my lower account. So that's what I've been laddering on
Yeah.
recently. And yeah, yeah, and I really feel my ZPVZ is very weak. Um,
Sure.
my Terran's solid. My toss, I'm solid with that as long as I'm scouting. Like you were in your stream the other day, and you're talking about how you see the Twilight, and you know exactly what you need at what time to get that.
Yeah.
I was hoping you could like kind of break down when it comes to scouting, and
Sure.
you know, I understand, the basics of the build and like getting I can do my early game build into a mid game and whatnot, but when it comes down to like reading what and exactly knowing what I need to counter whatever they see, I think that would take me to the next level, being
Sure.
able to understand that.
Do you wanna focus on ZVP then, or are you thinking about focusing on ZVZ instead?
TVC's. I mean that I have a hard time understanding that matchup. I try to go to mutas, and I think I go layer too late. And if there's like a nice easy build order for that you want to break down for me at the end of the lesson that I could have
Yeah.
for a.
I mean,
But
we could literally bounce around matchups. I don't. If you want to do multiple matchups, that's totally fine. We could give you like a little bit of like
yeah,
a theory process of each one. But
yeah.
do you want me to, or we can always talk about shit and we can set it up that way. Or if you want, I don't know if you have replays set up for it. If you want to look at some specific ones, we could do that too.
Yeah. See, I didn't really set up
Hey, no, dude, it doesn't
too
matter.
many.
You're all good.
Yeah.
If you have no replays, we can talk about things. Like we could start on Protoss, I guess, and like theory craft like what things mean for Protoss.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my pen and paper. I mean, I got a Protoss game here,
Okay.
which I can submit you.
Just
It's old version, so I'd have
okay.
to.
You just drag and drop that in Discord. You could do it in the DM between the two of us if you wanted to,
Yeah.
and then I could jump into it. But with Protoss, I can tell you right now, it's very simple with Protoss. If you just know these few things, and it's the order.
Yeah.
It's all you have to know is the order. So if they go Robo first, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question as well, and I'm gonna make your brain kind of get active here thinking about this. So you really switched on to like understanding with the concept. If you have a
Yeah.
Protoss who opens Robo first, what do you think the first unit he's gonna build out of that Robo will be?
It's either going to be a Immortal or a Warp Prism.
Okay, that's a big if though, because those are two
Yeah.
totally different things. What do you think he will build first out of those two things?
Well, if there's like a DT shrine, it's definitely going to be.
But that's the
Warp
thing
Prism.
though. You're thinking too hard about it already, because you're thinking about
Yeah.
other tech. He went Robo first, so what do you think he's gonna build? I'll tell you after
Immortal.
this. Perfect. That is
It's
correct.
going to be Immortal.
That is correct. So if he goes Robo first, it's Immortals, and it's not going to be for Prism. It's not going to be for DTs. It's not anything revolved around that at all. It's because he's going to do probably some type. Like he might go for a Prism after, and it might be like mass charge lots with like two Immortals and a Prism. That could be what it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be, or it's going to be like Sentries mixed with Immortal. It's going to be some type of like an Immortal all in because he made the Robo first. So it's going to have a very heavy Robo emphasis on the build.
Yeah.
Now,
And now he
okay.
doesn't need all you need is a cyber for a Robo, right?
Yeah. A Cyber unlocks everything for Protoss. It unlocks the Stargate, the Twilight Council, and the Robo.
Okay.
And then those tech structures themselves all unlock something else. Like the Robo unlocks the Robo Bay, the Twilight unlocks Templar tech for both,
Templar.
and then the Stargate unlocks Sleep Beacon.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And,
or go ahead.
and what time does that go down?
Always right after,
Like
like his tech is always going to go down right after the core, no matter what it
so right
is.
after the so I do what you do, which is I send my first overlord, if it's not a
Fuck,
stalker first,
fuck
I go
yeah.
send it to find the second pylon in his main,
Dude,
and then I wait there.
I give you a high five right now. I'd be like, fuck yeah,
Yeah,
Overlord sacking brothers over here.
yeah.
But yeah.
And so,
Uh,
so if I see, okay, so yeah.
oh wait, I can't actually watch this replay, dude. I'm sorry. Something is wrong with StarCraft with this newest patch, and you can't actually view old replays. I don't know why, but it literally what happens when you try to open it is the game tries to load it, and then it just says the version of StarCraft 2 required to play this is not available. It doesn't actually like revert it and take you offline. It's fucking weird. I don't know. This happened last time too. So unfortunately, we can't watch this, but we can talk about it.
Yeah. All right.
If you have a different replay too, like a current one, we could watch that. But I don't know. I think this patch like is kind of fucked with replays. It's weird.
Yeah, and then they updated the patch again.
Yeah.
Show and folder. I'll try this one. I think this one's a little newer.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I can try.
It could be the exact same one. It's one map newer. You can try that one.
Yeah, same thing. Doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So Robo first is immortal.
Yeah, it should be like they can make a prism later with it, but it's gonna definitely be immortals first because he's gonna probably go for an immortal timing. The only time he's not gonna do that, the only time it will never be immortals, like for some type of an immortal timing, is if he's the kind of Protoss player that's like, you know what, I'm gonna go all the way to a Robo Bay, and I'm gonna go for either Disruptor or Colossus. Maybe he's the guy who wants to drop Disruptors in your base, or he just wants to do some type of a Colossus opener, which is a lot more rare. But
yeah. I did have one of those, and that's probably one of these games right here that the guy went straight into the Disruptor drops.
Yeah, well,
they weren't too bad to handle.
You can also tell those things too, because all you have to do is if you like run past the doorway of their base, and you're like, "What do you have?" And if he's got like no units there at all, with like a Zergling or something, then you could be like, "Okay, well, he's not doing an immortal timing, and he's also like not really setting up for a timing." Like you could then be like, okay, well maybe now it's going for tech, and maybe then you could be like, maybe I'll send an overseer in. There's a lot of things that can tell, you can read off the shit like that. But
yeah,
if you don't see anything, it'd be a good time to scout him again. But if you do see, for instance, like one immortal and like 4 sentries sitting next to his door, when you run a Zergling over there and you're like, oh look, he's got immortal sentry, you could be like, well yeah, maybe I should make like Ravagers here pretty soon because I'm about to get hit by an immortal fucking sentry train, basically, that's gonna force shield me all the time.
And at that point, I probably already have my third down when I scout that point. At that
yeah,
point,
you totally will, yeah.
And so I would cut drowning and go right into maybe take one more gas, or I make sure I have 3 gases or 4.
I like about 4 gases versus that, yeah.
4 gases against that, yeah.
Yeah, and I usually have about like 45 drones or so.
Yeah.
Roughly. But so like Robo first, you can tell what it is. It's going to be Robo emphasis. It's always going to be an emphasis on the first thing he builds. So now if he goes Stargate first, there's going to be like obviously you're gonna see what opens out of the Stargate. You're gonna see a Void Ray, a Phoenix, an Oracle, something like that. I would say Oracle and Phoenix is more standard Protoss. Anyone who opens Void Ray is less standard. The reason why is because a Void Ray opener, Void Rays are not the most effective harass units. They're great defensive units when you don't have any anti-air. Like if I run over to your base with like roaches and Zerglings, like Void Rays are amazing at just like constantly killing shit. But if I attack you and you have like 6 queens, a Void Ray is going to be like, I gotta leave now, can't do shit here because I'm a Void Ray. So people who open Void Ray usually are going to do that. It's not always going to happen this way, but usually it's going to happen because they either think they're ahead, and maybe that came off the result of like a cannon rush, and then they can overpower you with Void Rays no matter what. Or if they go Void Ray, it's because they probably want to play super defensive and do something beyond Void Ray. It's just they're going to be greedy, and Void Rays are their way of kind of combating the riskiness of it.
You don't see many Void Ray openings.
Exactly, it's rare. I agree with you. So most people play Oracle or Phoenix, and then they usually make the other as well. Like if they open Phoenix first, then they'll make Oracles after it, or if they open Oracle first, they might make Phoenix after it, or they might just go heavy Phoenix or something like that. Those are
Yeah.
more standard because they're way more harass based. They can definitely get in, get out, do a lot of damage, kill drones and stuff, kill overlords. Um,
It,
what are you gonna say?
and the answer to that is Spore and a couple more queens, right? And then
Yeah,
just
yeah, literally, yep.
refill your drones.
Yeah, like one spore per mineral line. I would say the most common follow up to anyone who opens Stargate is they actually, this just happens a lot. They will not have a Twilight Council for Adepts, but it happens a lot that Protosses who open up Stargate and they harass you with some type of air unit will also combine in a couple extra gateways and then do a timing with Adepts without resonating glaives, and he'll have like 7 of them or 6 of them, and they'll just run over to your base and try to like pick drones off. Because if they can force out a lot of anti-air out of you and you don't really pay attention to the ground, suddenly 7 Adepts get in your mineral line and kill like 12 drones or something, and you're like, okay, that sucks.
So when they go Stargate opening and you see a couple of depths in their wall, you want to make sure you're pumping out roaches at that point.
I would just say to make it really easy, if you see Stargate first, saturate 3 mineral lines and like 2 or 3 gases, and then just make either like 8 roaches or make like 24 lings or something. Make something that's gonna like be able to hold like 7 Adepts that would come to your base, because you should expect it, and you could do that after you saturate 3 mineral lines, and you'll be fine. Like you'll have it if you do it quickly. You'll have it in time. So I would say experiment with that and make sure you're doing it well. And then as soon as you handle the Adept push, it's not designed to kill you. All it's designed to do is slow you down. And if you can deny it with whatever you have, you can then fully saturate whatever you want and then go from there to play a normal game. And the final one is when somebody opens up Twilight Council. This is the most variant thing about all of it. And I can tell you right now that Protosses who Mila, stop. What are you doing? Just fucking eating a shoe, dude. Sorry. If you play against Twilight Council, there are the possibilities of everything out of that Twilight Council or anything that comes after the Twilight Council. You have the Dark Templar. You have High Templar is probably the least common one out of all of this. Most people don't do High Templar straight up right away. But you'll have like DT drops into Archons, or you'll have some type of Charge Lot Adepts with Resonating Glaives or Blink Stalker variation. And go ahead.
Oh, with the DT to Archons is pretty common. Now, is that not even worth engaging with Lings? I feel like I just lose so much larva.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't want to be making. I would say against any one of these, against any of the Twilight Council openers, you want to make as little Lings as possible. You can make some to scout, but don't mass Lings to defend yourself. Because I would just recommend going Roach Warren.
Okay.
And a great way you can also tell if it's going to be DTs or not is, Froby, thank you for the host, man. What up, guys? Welcome to the stream, doing a coaching lesson. Appreciate you. A great way to tell if it's going to be DTs is the speed at which he builds his Twilight Council. So if you're playing a Protoss player and you're scouting with an Overlord and you're like, okay, his core just finished, and literally within 5 seconds of the core being done, there's a fucking council immediately.
Twilight.
The faster that council is, the more likely he's going to go DTs. Okay. Because he is cutting shit to get that shit out as fast as he can.
Definitely a Stalker being the first thing out of the gate as well.
So Stalker doesn't always mean DTs. It just means he wants to hide whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
So it could be mass gates for Zealots. It could be for Adepts. It could be just lots of gateways for the other units. Or it could be 4 gates and DTs. But you're always going to see, it's I would say like a 99% chance, unless it's a really awkward Protoss, that if they go Council first, they will always go Robo after. So that's why what I said is whatever you see first is important, because if you see a Council first, it tells you that it's some type of Warp Prism play, and if you see a Robo first, it tells you it's some type of Immortal play.
Yeah,
and that's a huge difference. That's a fucking massive difference in like what those mean. So that's how you can kind of read that, and then Roaches, no matter what he goes for, Roaches are good against everything out of the Council first. And then the only thing that would be a little bit of a weird one would be if he went Blink Stalker, which is the least common one. Like I would say Adepts, Charge Lots, and DTs all happen more often than Blink Stalkers. But But if he does go Blink Stalker, you could open roaches and be like, oh shit, I didn't realize it's Blink, but it is Blink Stalkers. You could then switch back into making mass lings to support your roaches, and you probably would still be fine.
Yeah. Now, like in our 1v1, it's Blink Stalker. I mean, I've been beaten by the Blink Stalker.
Sure.
But I do know lings do counter it. But how do you fix the problem when they're just blinking back?
That's just a problem of macro. It's a problem of macro. It means you don't have enough. So it means you're taking fights inefficiently, like you're bleeding yourself out too much, and you're doing fights before you should be doing fights. Maybe you're fighting off creep, or it means that you just had something has happened early in the game, whether it be how you opened or something like that, or maybe you took a little bit of damage to an adept or something early, but you're behind for some reason, which you could figure out if you like broke it down. And if you don't have enough, it just means that you're just behind.
Okay. So once you spot mass Blink Stalkers and you get some roaches out, you start pumping out lings. You should definitely have enough lings to overwhelm it.
Yeah, and then the final way what I was going to say was it also might mean you were way too fucking greedy. Like if you have 65 drones and you're like, oh god, there's like a 2-base stalker all in here and I only have like 20 supply of army. He's got 60 or 50.
Yeah.
You could totally die then too.
Okay. Now when you're seeing a toss staying on 2 base, would you always recommend just cutting around 45 drones?
That's literally what I was about to say as well. I was going to say, if you see a Protoss that has not started a 3rd base by 450, okay?
By 450?
There's multiple numbers here that mean something. I'll give you a few sets.
Yeah.
This is for like players who actually play good. They play up to a point where that can be efficient. 450 is 2 gateways. 5 minutes is 4 gateways. 510 is 6 gateways. 520 is up to 8 gateways.
I'm sorry, ViBE. Slow down. Just
just think about it like this. At 450, it's 2 gates, and every 10 seconds that goes by, add 2 gates.
Okay.
And it goes all the way to 520, which should be 8 gateways. And then if you have not seen a 3rd yet by your opponent by 520, you're getting all in, or a big timing is headed your way. Because there's no the only way that he would not be all-inning you is if his build sucks balls. And he's just like doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then that's also a moment when you could also reconfirm a scout and go check his base and be like, what are you doing? Like check it with a ling, make it overlord will go in there again or whatever if you're feeling like you're not confident. But I mean, if I were you, I would because a lot of people also, this is the problem about Diamond, that's the hard thing to kind of explain, is there's windows of time where you should be getting attacked by something, and if it's not happening yet, he's already missed the window for it to be effective, so you should start expecting the next thing. For instance, if your Protoss player opponent, if you're scouting him and you're like, okay, you have not expanded by 520, and I'm freaking out right now, I'm going to make mass units because I don't know what the fuck you're doing. And you see, let's say you see a bunch of stalkers in his doorway, and you're like, okay, fuck, he's going mass blink stalkers. All right. And then you just make mass lings for a while, and you're like, okay, well, he hasn't moved out, and I've been making lings for the last 90 seconds, and he has not moved out of his base. It's fucking, almost 7 minutes now, and I'm, freaking out here. And then suddenly he moves out at 7 minutes with, 3 Colossus and Stalkers and a couple Sentries, and you're like, I have mass lings, I'm fucking dead.
Yeah, then you're fucked.
That's the moment you have to realize, though, where if you have prepared, this is really hard to explain. This is probably the hardest thing to explain to anybody. If you have prepared enough units to stop their current all-in that's supposed to happen at this specific time, and they're not doing it, we should be like, well, okay, well, I'm already going to kill you if you do it, and now I need to worry about what you could be doing, because you might not be doing that, because you're missing the whole fucking window of time. It'd be like me saying, here's an easier example of something you can understand, that anybody could understand. Let's say you scout a Zerg who went gasless 12 pool, and then he made lings, and a ZVZ, and he just fucking sat there. He just sat in his he sat in his own natural with his lings, and he just stockpiled 18 lings. And you saw that with an overlord, and you were like, "What the fuck? What the hell is this guy doing?" He's making a really inefficient build, but he's not utilizing the window of time where he needs to be doing damage with it. So what the fuck is he doing? And if he's actually all-inning you with no gas, and he's doing some or he's doing a pressure build that has no gas lings, and he's supposed to do some damage to you, but he's missing that, all that means is that he's behind. So your brain would automatically look at that and be like, okay, well, maybe he's actually getting a gas or something like that instead. Because what the fuck is the reason of having Slowling sitting in front of his natural when he opened up 12 pool? Like, I don't understand. Again, it makes no fucking sense, right? That's how you have to kind of like look at people who do things like what I'm talking about with Protoss, which it's harder to understand because it's more of a technical situation. It's more advanced. And it's easier to hide things at that point because there's a lot more variation that can happen. But it's one of those things where you have to be very vigilant about how you look at someone's base and just be active about re-scouting it again if you're unsure. Like, try to get a read on it and be like, yep, you are doing that. Not just I assume you're doing that. Because, like, for instance, if you scouted, oh shit, he actually is not taking a third at 520, and ViBE said he's going to be really all in now. It's very all in-ish type Protoss. And let's say he does have like 6 gates and a robo, and he's making Colossus Stalker. And then you scout him again at 6 minutes, and you're like, okay, he's not attacking me, and he should be attacking me already. This is very weird. Get into his base, and you're like, oh shit, it's Colossus. And then he's going to attack you at 7 minutes. And now for the next minute, you build a Hydrogen as fast as you can, and you build a Lurker Den as fast as you can. And then when he leaves his base a minute later, and he crosses the map for like 30 seconds, maybe you just barely had enough time to squeeze out some Lurkers. And now you're like, okay, well now I have Lurkers because I scouted again to figure that out. So I'm not just making mass lings or something. I actually made the Lurkers now to deal with Colossus, which is what he's really doing.
Yeah.
So I hope that makes sense, but that's like the heart.
No,
it
does. I get it. Yeah, so yeah, they have a window time of it being ineffective, and once that passes, so just because it's 520 and there's no third doesn't mean I am getting all in. They might be doing something strange.
Well, they still are all in you.
On it.
It's pretty much an all in, but they might be doing an advanced tech version of one.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that they're all in
which I had to adapt to.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, and then that's kind of Protoss. That's how you open against Protoss. And if you get a better lead from that against Protoss, the game is really easy to control against Protoss at that point.
Yeah. So what I've been finding out in my games is just as long as you can really that mid, this kind of before 6 minutes, if you can minimize the damage that you've taken to your economy and you're good, like you kind of control the game. It's like you're smooth sailing the rest of the way.
Yeah, no.
If you shut down.
Yep.
If you're able to shut down everything that comes at you in that early aggression phase.
It definitely works that way, yeah. Because a lot of Protoss builds that revolve around timings, if you take no damage to it and you also did not overcommit to defending it, if you just make enough to defend it, but then you're also greedy and you don't take any damage, yeah, you're definitely ahead. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions about Protoss?
Yeah. All right. Now upgrades. Versus like so, and I was on during the stream when you did the whole versus this. You want for corruptors and carriers. You go carapace upgrades.
Yeah, it's pretty easy if you think about it like this. For Spire, because you have Spire and Evo Chamber. So for Spire, if you're going mutas, if you're going for a muta style, you always go weapons every time. There's only one exception to this, which is if you're going to play the style of Muta first, and then you're like, okay, well now he's going Phoenix. I still want to go Muta, but I'm going to add in Corruptors as well. If that's the case for Protoss, you can start going into Carapace with Corruptor Muta, because the point is your Corruptor will zone out the Phoenix, and your Muta will just kill the rest. Because he's focusing on Phoenix, which is why that makes a big difference there. Because Carapace is fucking amazing Sky versus Sky against Protoss. It's so good. But you should also be using Corruptors there too. Like you can use both Corruptor and Muta. But generally speaking, if you go Muta ever against Protoss, you want to be going weapons. And again, the only time the Corruptors example really would make sense is if you have like, let's say you have like 18 Mutas and you scout, oh shit, he's already got like 10 Phoenix, dude. Like that's actually fucking scary. And then you don't engage it yet. But you start making Corruptors, and you're going to make like 16 Corruptors. So your army's literally like 18 Mutas and 16 Corruptor. And then you're going to keep making Mutas after like 16 Corruptor. So you have a very heavy Corruptor emphasis because he already has a lot of Phoenix. That's when Carapace would make sense. For Muta.
Okay.
That's the only time. If you go Muta in every situation against ground units, weapons. Muta weapons. If you go Mutas against Phoenix and you have a point where it's like you have 25 Mutas and he only has like 3 Phoenix, like he just started making them, just keep making Phoenix, or just keep making weapon upgrades for Muta, and then just overpower him because he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough Phoenix to deal with you.
Yeah, overpower him with the mutas or the corruptors.
You don't make you would just not make corruptors then at all, because you're like his Phoenix transition, or his Phoenix reaction to your Muta would probably be something that he scouted Mutas after you already had a lot of them, and you're like, and he's not like, oh shit, it's a spire that's being built, I'm gonna counter that now. But it's like, oh shit, there's like 20 Mutas out, I'll start making Stargates. You know what I mean?
Now is there a chance that he just micros them so well that
there should not be
outrange?
There should not be.
What's that?
Your Muta should always win.
Okay.
And have you ever seen me do the example of how you fuck Phoenix up with Muta?
No, I have not.
Okay, watch the stream for a second. I'll show you this. This is really, really, really good. This proves why weapon upgrades are better. This will go really fast.
Cool.
So again, for Muta, always weapons, other than that one example I said where he already has a lot of Phoenix out because he scouted the Spire early on. Otherwise, it's always weapons for Mutas, and it's always, no matter what, it's always Carapace for Corruptor, and anything Corruptor based like Broodlord. Always. Okay, and then for ground army, don't ever get Carapace. Literally get range weapons and melee weapons maxed first. Whatever your strategy is going to be based off of heavily. If it's going to be like Ling Bane, you can go melee upgrades. If it's going to be like Roaches and Hydras and shit like that, you can get range up weapons. If you're going to be like me and start off with Roaches heavy, what I do is I get range weapons level 1, and then I get I go into melee after that, and I go all the way from range 1 to then melee 1, 2, 3, and I go back to range 2, 3, and then I get Carapace 1, 2, 3. So Carapace eventually is good, but it's not worth rushing it because it's so useless against Archons, against Immortals, against Storm. So many things Carapace is fucking useless against Protoss. You'd be better off just having a bigger army because you're not wasting resources on a second Evo with second round of upgrades. And I usually only go single Evo too against Protoss, by the way. But this is why I like the upgrade order that I said. I like to open Roaches or Hydras heavy early against Protoss. I just usually do. So I get range weapons level 1. But then by the time I usually take a fight and we start trading armies and I remax, I'm already usually going into Zerglings and like Broods or Zerglings and Mutas or some type of like other variation. So then I start going into melee, and Ling run-bys are fucking godly if they have level 3 adrenal glands. And then usually at that point too, when if the game is not over yet, and it starts turning into like this split map scenario, what I like to start doing is I like to start actually using Lurkers. And I use Lurkers to deal with Zealot run-bys. So I'll put a Lurker here and there at bases, and I finish getting weapon upgrades level 2 to 3 on Lurker, so that my Lurkers can just fucking shred Zealots like crazy. And that's why I would get that upgrade order. And then finally, I would get level 3 Carapace. And the only reason why I would get level 3 Carapace at this stage of the game, at late stage of the game, is because you're no longer fighting Archons with Zerglings. Like, you're never using Zerglings in your main army at this point. You're only using them to do run-bys. You're never fighting Storm. You're never fighting Archons. You're only fighting Zealots and Cannons. And the thing about level 3 Carapace with Zerglings is a level 3 melee Zealot versus a level 3 Carapace Zergling. It cancels out the upgrade for Zealot, and it makes a Zealot have to 3-hit a Zergling again instead of 2-hit a Zergling. If a Zealot ever has an upgrade over a Zergling, it 2-hits it. But if you have equivalent upgrades to Zealots on weapons and you have Carapace to match that, it 3-hits it. So it makes your Lings last a lot longer. And if you're lasting longer with fucking adrenal glands, your Lings wreck Zealots like crazy. Like, Lings scale way better than Zealots. It up. And then the other one is if you have level 3 Carapace, this only happens at level 3. It does not happen at level 2. It does not happen at level 1. At level 3 Carapace, it takes 3 shots for a cannon to kill your Zergling. So if you are fighting just cannons and just Zealots with just Zerglings, your Zerglings get way fucking better trades if you have level 3 Carapace. But this is not something that happens in the game until usually like 25 minutes into the game or 30 minutes into the game. It does not happen at like minute 7 or minute 10.
Yeah.
Because that's when the Protoss is like, come fuck with my Archons and my Storm with your main army, because you don't have enough units and enough power, like Hive Tech shit, early on in the game to be like, you know what, fuck it, 50 supply of Lings, go over there. You're just gonna die then because you don't have Broodlords, you don't have a bunch of Lurkers or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, Zerg's still developing at that stage, so that's why it does not apply early. It makes no sense to do it early. So that's upgrades for all of upgrades right there for Zerg. That's what they all mean for against Protoss.
Now, if Toss is playing pretty passive, do you recommend going for faster Hive? to get to that late game tech?
I usually go faster hive in general most of the time. That's usually just like usually I'll have a hive by like 8 minutes or something.
So 7:30 throw down infestation kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do usually. Yeah, I like to like because I usually like to max once with layer tech units, and then I like to have hive tech, whether it be for like a lurker based style, because lurker hive tech upgrades are fucking massive, or I'll have like I'll switch into Spire with broods or something like that. Have a journal early. I'll usually go for hive quicker because hive tech Zerg is what actually fucking wrecks Protoss.
Yeah, the GG Lords.
Yeah, man. All right, check this out.
All right.
So this is what you could do. I'm gonna give you an example here. If you have a Phoenix, like a Protoss who has just a few Phoenix, and this is if you have a lot of mutas, okay? You can actually go into his base. Do not be the guy that does shit like this, okay? Don't be the guy who does this. Where you're like, I'm gonna hit those Phoenix, and they're like this, and you're like, okay. I'm trying to chase them, but they're kiting me all day. Don't be that guy. Do not be that guy, okay? Do not do that. All you gotta do, because it takes Phoenix a while to kill your muta, and you're missing all this damage if you just chase him like that. Because sometimes it'll work, and he'll like fly into you too close, and you just get a good snipe off on him, and you're like, gotcha, bitch. But all you gotta do is watch this. So here's a muta's range. Here's a muta's range. If you attack him straight up, you're like, all right, let's hit this Phoenix. Like right there you go. That's max range right there. It's not that far. Like we'll put a probe exactly where that muta was, right? Just for representation. That muta was about like right there. That's about how far a muta has to be, because a Phoenix has 4 range or 5 range, and a muta only has 3. So a Phoenix can outrange a muta easy. But now watch this. A Phoenix can actually be outranged by a muta, even if the Phoenix will even do this. Watch this. Where the fuck is this upgrade? There it is. We now have Phoenix with 7 range. We got the upgrade for it too, which is even more ridiculous because now you can see. Watch how far this Phoenix shoots my muta. It's ridiculous. Like that's pretty fucking far. So that sucks for Zerg, right? You're like, oh my god, that thing shoots fucking like more than double what the muta has. But if you abuse Protoss's buildings, like a Nexus, this creates artificial range of your mutas, and the Nexus itself is you can shoot the Nexus from like 3 range away, and a bounce ranges like about 1 range off of a target that it hits, where it still will bounce off, and then it also has an effect where the Nexus itself is about 5 range wide, so you can actually make your muta have about 9 range on a Phoenix. Shit. And all you do is the bounce though. So watch this with the muta. It's ridiculous. So I get my muta like on the edge of the Nexus, and then the Phoenix comes in, and it starts getting bounced on as soon as it's within 1 range of the Phoenix of the muta. And now the Phoenix is getting hit by the muta. So not only am I going to kill his fucking base, but I'm also going to kill the fucking Phoenix from super far away. And if I have a lot of muta, it doesn't matter that I'm only using my bounce attack, because I can blow that Phoenix up pretty fucking fast with a shitload of bounces. If he only has like 4 Phoenix.
Yeah.
So that's why weapon upgrades are still critical here, because if I actually have weapon upgrades, watch how fucking fast this goes now. So this is now weapon upgraded mutas. Come on. There we go. And now watch this. That's going to be ridiculous. Like that thing died in almost 2 volleys. With level 3 weapons, it would have died in 2 volleys.
Yeah.
It's insane. That is why I say you don't need to switch into Corruptor if you already have a muta advantage. You could just literally fly around his Nexus, starve, like make him crippled because you starve his ass out, and in the process, kill the Phoenix at the same time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's some good knowledge right there.
It's OP as fuck. Like it's really good. All right. So anything else? Any other questions about Protoss?
I think that covers every like this early to mid game.
Yep.
Is there a way to really punish Protoss being extremely greedy in say the early game?
Yeah. If I assume you're opening speedlings every game because it's what sounds like your build is.
Yeah, that's usually what it is.
Always make a round of an initial round of lings to deal with the initial adepts as you're going to, and you'll have speed, and leave
the
like
10 or 12. The safety links.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then you leave like a probe at his base, just because, or sorry, a Ling in his base to look for the probe. And if you see a Protoss who's being greedy and he's trying to take a third really fast, you can use your initial Lings to fuck that up. You can ideally even, like, if you get rid of the Adepts, you can even send your Lings to his base, all of them. If he looks like he's going to take like a third fast, and you could repeatedly deny the probe and deny the Nexus, and then you could make like one more round of Lings off of your initial like 12 or so. You can make maybe like another 16 to 20, and then that's where you stop, and you just drone behind it, and you delay the shit out of his third base over and over and over. And if he wants to take a third base, that's a normal time at like 4:45, 4:50. That's pretty normal timing for Protoss to take a third. But now if you make his third come down, even though he's trying to take a third repeatedly, and you make the third go down at like 5:30, it doesn't. That is not where it like represents. Oh, he's all-inning me now, because if he keeps trying to expand and he keeps losing units while he's trying to do that because he's losing the Lings over and over, then you know, okay, this guy's trying to expand and I'm just fucking him over. And that's how you can get rid of like. And if he's really greedy and he's like the kind of guy who's gonna try and go for a third base off of one gateway, which would go down at like 4 minutes or like 3:50. That's easy as fuck for Lings to kill and deny over and over. And you could deny that Nexus for like a full 90 seconds before it could actually be thrown down.
Yeah. But might even force him into an all-in at that point.
Yeah, he'll probably... he doesn't necessarily have to all-in, but he guaranteed will make more production to be able to then take his base, or he'll make Stargate units. That's why a lot of times whenever someone plays really greedy, they open Stargate with it.
Okay. Oh, to keep the Zerg at home.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just because the Stargate units can't die to like Lings and roaches.
Okay. Yeah, I think that covers Toss. Now, Terran. I got a question about so in the Zerg early game, you're going So I've been trying to take my third hatch right around 30, like between 28 and 32. Do you usually pop out an Overlord before the hatch, or do you think going for hatch and then Overlord?
I will go for 2 Overlords before I take my third hatch. So I'll take my initial Overlord at 13, and then I'll take a second Overlord at like 19 or something, or 20.
At 19.
Yeah, and then I won't make another Overlord again until I take my third hatchery.
Until after the third hatch?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I understand Terran pretty well. I played Terran before I played Zerg, so...
Nice. That's usually how it goes, right? Your off race is always going to be the better... That's usually how it goes, right? Your off race is always the better matchup.
Yeah. Well, I like Zerg. My buddy told me to check out your Bronze to GM, and I ended up watching the Zerg Bronze to GM, and then...
Was it Ripple Carry?
No, that's my man. No.
I'm just joking.
Buddy Nuke, yeah.
Nice.
So the things of Terran that fucks me up is, just getting on the back foot, but that comes down more to macro and not judging the... not getting the injects perfect or
ZVT is by far, out of every matchup in the entire game, ZVT is the most macro demanding matchup that like based on who you're playing against, because if you don't actually do the mechanics that you need to be doing, you will fall so fucking far behind, and you will feel like you're just dead. Like that matchup is like very snowbally if you fall behind.
I had one where I think the problem was I wiped out his army and then I engaged, but I didn't wait for the ultra upgrades to finish, and so I engaged with the 5 ultras. You know, I had like 12 hydras left and a bunch of lings, no banes, and I just kind of thought I was gonna roll them.
Like you thought they were 5 ultras, but they're like 5 hot air balloons, and they just fucking explode.
Yeah, that would just get kited by his marauders. Yeah. Which sucked, because I think that just made me lose the game.
It happens a lot, yeah.
Taking that one engagement where I should have played safer.
That's how ZVT is, honestly. It's very unforgiving if you fuck up once.
Yeah. Let's see. So ZVZ.
Okay.
what's your recommendation for someone who's struggling with
Uh,
I'm trying to give you an example. I'll make you understand how I'm struggling. So I played some practice EVZs with some clan members.
yeah.
I can send you. Well, I think I beat McCallum. I don't want to send you one I won.
Yeah, if you win or lose, it doesn't matter. I can still see your play styles and stuff like that.
All right.
And there's still always going to be room for improvement, whether you win or lose.
Of course. The thing, yeah, I can kind of, I know, but yeah, check it out.
If this is recent, we could jump into this together if you want to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, so I'll actually leave this. I just clicked it just to see if it works, and it does. Just hop into, if you're not already on BattleNet, hop on and oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'll make you leader. Just you go ahead and host it, because I actually don't have it in my folder, and I assume you do.
Yeah.
And then I'll just make me lobby host.
You got it.
Perfect. Nice. Now we could be in here together. We can talk about it.
There we go. I'll ping all over the place.
All right. Then you. So before I break this down really fast, you just want you want a recommendation from me as to what would be a good way to play ZVZ as just a strong way to do it.
Yeah, just a strong, kind of standard way where
Okay.
I don't think I'm good enough with the mutaplay. I'd like to get there, but
I got a perfect build for you.
Just it gets up into once he gets the Hydras out, and my Link Bane production ain't good enough to keep up with it.
How comfortable do you feel with Banes? This is the only question I need to ask you. Yeah, like we're not talking all game, just early game.
Yeah, I control click them and I can move them to where they need to go.
So, give me a % chance of what you think you would give yourself if you had someone of your own level of skill, if they were playing against you and they were doing some type of pressure to you. What's the % chance you think you would come out ahead there, like from your previous experiences?
And I'm somewhat prepared for the pressure.
Yeah, it's not like you just got surprised. You're like, oh, I'm dead. But like, if you have Ling Bane, they have Bane as well, and they're trying to pressure you and break you. How often do you hold that?
Ooh, maybe 60, 70.
Okay, that's good. That's
decent. I'm decent on it.
If it's above 50, if you were gonna say like 25, I would be like, okay, maybe not. Yeah. But no, if you're above 50, if that's what you think, yeah, you can handle Banes. Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I did a lot of practice with a friend, just green boxing and shift clicking out lings and stuff. So I got a little better at that.
Okay, so that's fine. Well, I'll do a Ling Bane build for you then. But basically, your build will be this. Okay, your build's gonna be a Ling Bane opener with 3 bases and a little bit of extra queens, and then you're gonna go into a Roach Warren off of a decent economy, and you're gonna play a defensive macro game there. You're gonna we're gonna work on Overlord spread around your base, so you're never surprised by random shit. So Overlord placement's gonna become a critical thing, and then as soon as you have good saturation of your bases, you're gonna become the guy who just goes Roach Ravager and kills your opponent.
Okay.
It's a very basic build. It's a very good way to develop skills you need to be able to handle going from early game to mid game in ZVZ. And this is gonna apply all the way to GM. People in GM still play like this. It's basically what I'm gonna teach you is like the first step of transitions in a GM level game. But it's only the first step, so it's not like super fucking crazy advanced.
Yeah.
Alright, so looking at your side.
Yeah, I'm top right.
You mean bottom left?
Yeah, bottom left.
Okay. I was like, did you guys switch accounts or some shit? I was just making sure. Okay, so your build, I actually kind of was my eye. I wasn't paying attention to your exact build. I want to see your exact build.
Yeah, I might have fucked something up.
Always, I don't know if you know this, but I'll explain it. Always go 16 hatch against Zerg. This is why I really wanted to see it. And the reason why is because if you click your hatchery right now, you notice how if you mouse over the armor, it says there's 1. If you have a hatchery start at 17, it creates a moment where you have like 3 extra seconds or so on your like maybe 3 to 4 seconds or some shit. It's a little bit, but it is a big deal. It's extra time that his Zerglings can attack your hatchery if he is going for an early pool build. And if your hatchery is under construction and it's not done yet, it doesn't have armor. It only gets armor when it's done. So
When it's finished, yeah.
So it will make your hatchery get fucking destroyed, because that's each ling can hit your hatchery twice a second. And if it's like, let's just say it's 3 seconds for 6 lings to hit your hatchery extra, like they can already hit your hatchery for about 3 seconds if you go 16 hatch. But now if they can hit your hatchery for like 6 seconds because you went 17 hatch, that's now going to be a situation where your hatchery is going to take first, like for every 3 seconds that it's up getting hit like that, you're taking 30 damage per ling. So that's 30 times 6, which is 180 damage. So that's 360 damage that your hatchery would take just while it's building. That's just while it's building. And then that doesn't mean that the second your hatchery's done, that you suddenly now have your own lings. That's when you have to start making your lings, because your hatchery and your pool will finish at the same time. So you're going to have to wait another like 17 fucking seconds just until your lings spawn. And then you don't have all your lings at your natural. You got to run down from your main to your natural. That's like another 6 seconds or 5 seconds that you have to run to the natural. So there's so much time. Go ahead.
So I probably do something that's even worse in this game, but I usually always do the 16 hatch, but you'll see me cancel this drone, so I do get the 16 hatch off.
Okay.
So I do waste a larva in the early game.
That's really that's really bad. Never do that.
But yeah, it's worse than putting it down to 17 hatch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because if you ever cancel the larva, it doesn't just like refresh a larva for you. It's just it's just gone.
You lose the larva.
Yeah.
So I'm a larva behind for the rest of the build.
Yeah.
So if he was to 12 pull me, I would only have 2 lings to defend instead of being able to make 6. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's painful. All right, and then so yeah, the build I love is 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. And then what I like to do is I drone back up to 19 supply.
Yep.
And then do not make an overlord at 19 supply. You will eventually, but do not make it yet. And here's why. If he's if he's 12 pulling you, and if you send your first overlord to his natural and he's 12 pulling you, his lings will cross your overlord around 130 to 135. If he's 13 12ing you, his lings will cross your overlord around 140 to 145. If he's doing a spine crawler drone pull all in, like the proxy 3 spines drone ling pull, he will cross your overlord around 130 to 135, because that's also a 12 pull. So all these builds will cross your overlord before you larva cap, and you will never larva cap, even if you don't make an overlord, if you want to make 6 lings, because the second your pool's done and the second your natural finishes at the same time is the same second you get a 3rd larva. And then you can make 6 lings out of the main and 2 lings out of the natural to give you 8 lings immediately if you're getting cheesed and all in. That's why it makes it so fucking easy to defend cheese if you pay attention to this. And then if you don't see cheese by like 155, you can be like, all right, I'll make my overlord now. Because you still will only have 2 larvae at that point in time. You will still not supply block. And then you can still spend your larva as normal at that point.
So I always thought it was from like 145 to 2 minutes. You don't want to spend larva, or 150 to 2. But
that's only like really 1 larva right there. Yeah.
What's that?
If you did it from like 150 to 2 minutes, it's only enough to get 1 larva.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you get 1 larva every 10 seconds, and as soon as you hit 19, it's going to be around like 130.
Yeah.
And then another one will spawn, and another one will spawn, and you'll be right around 155. Like, because your 3rd larva will spawn right around 2 minutes, and that's when you'll be making your overlord like at 155 if you have not seen any lings crossing yet, because then you know you're not getting cheesed and all in off of like a 1 base Zerg, and then you're good to go. So it just makes it like, just knowing that and understanding that concept makes cheesy Zergs like really shitty Zergs. It makes it so easy to deal with that. Like like for me, if I'm actually paying attention and I'm not streaming and doing some shit where I'm like, I built an overlord again, drones. But if I'm actually paying attention, I can hold all ins repeatedly all the time because of this concept. It's so strong. Yeah, that's super good. And then, you get your gas. Make your queens. You see a natural. I would say you can also base someone's build as well off of their creep. This is kind of advanced, but check this out. Look at your creep right now.
Yep.
And look at his creep right now.
Yeah, and look at his creep.
Exactly.
Yeah, so his hatch is behind mine, so he went pool first.
So, well, not necessarily. I don't actually think he did. I think he just maybe went for like a very, very, very slightly later.
Later hatch.
Yeah, like just it's close enough that it looks very similar because like your creep is just starting to spread off your hatchery, and so is his.
Yeah.
It would be something like, for instance, if you got to his base and your creep was already fully spread out around your hatchery, which takes usually, I think it takes like 30 seconds after the hatchery's done for it to fully spread. I'm going to look at it right now just to be 100% sure. So it finished at 2:03. And how long does it take to fully spread? It'll probably be like 2:33.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, like roughly around 30 seconds. Yeah, it's like pretty fucking spread out. So if you were to see his base right now, only had, creep that's like just starting, and yours is like already fucking spread out pretty far, you could be like, okay, yeah, you definitely went pool first. And you probably have speed that's almost done already. And that's when, just by seeing the creep, you could be like, okay, I'm going to make a spine now. Or some shit like that. And suddenly 30 lings run out of his base, and he's only got 13 drones. And you have 21 drones or whatever. And you're like, well, now I'll just make lings with a spine, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of advanced, but that is something you can always kind of use for like information about Zerg. Overlord pathing, I like where your overlords are placed. You always want to have both ramps covered, which you do. You have his third covered as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the scout that you just did. I don't like the Banes as much. I mean, they might work.
What's up?
I said I like the scout you just did, but I don't like those Banes. That's very unrealistic. I'm going to tell you right now, a good Zerg would never let that happen. Ever. Like, because that was just, like, blatant as fuck. It's like...
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, come get these fucking lings, bitch. I'm in your base. Like he should know that that's happening.
Yeah. I don't know. He didn't see it.
And you also spread them out, too.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they went out at the same time.
Like, you gave this guy every chance to make this not happen. And you still somehow killed 2 drones. So
I got 2 of them.
So, I mean, like, no offense to him at all. I'm not trying to pick on him or anything. But that was definitely lazy as fuck by him to let that happen. Like, he could have definitely denied that. So just I would say don't get in the habit of doing things like that. Like this early. I would have rather you have just run into his base and scouted what he was doing than trying to get Banes in his mineral line. Because a good Zerg will deny those Banes in the cocoons. You'll waste resources for that. And because you'll lose 25% of what that costs. And then you also won't scout his base. Yeah. So that could be an opportunity missed there is what I'm trying to say. But I do like the effort to try and scout. I like that a lot. Okay, now he's showing up at your base with a shitload of Banes and Lings.
Yeah,
and
we'll see.
This looks like super dicey. This is that moment and you also made drones. You made a lot of fucking drones. So if I would say if this dude microed this, you would be dead right now. But I mean, if he lets his Banes run into like eggs or something on the hatchery, you might not die.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
He hit the pool pretty hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, there's obviously mistakes will happen and shit like that. But here's what I think you should do. Always, like, I'm actually just gonna make you the build. You know what, I'm just gonna kind of look at this and I'll just make you the build. I think it'll be better to explain it while I make the build. That way you'll see a reference as I do it.
No, yeah, I agree.
Just gonna kind of watch this on fast forward.
But here's an example of a Lingbane fight where I came out on top.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could have died if he didn't fucking ram your pool so hard. But yeah, I mean, the thing that was scary for me that I saw from you though is you were completely undefended when he showed up, and that should never happen.
Yeah.
So
I didn't have any safety Banes.
Yeah, exactly. You should always have safety Banes, and that concept is huge. Just understanding that is a big deal. Alright, then you are going to go Spire, it looks like. So, yeah, you're doing a Mutiling Bane. Your queen count is... Or, not your queen count, sorry. Your drone count's a little low for the 6 gases, but, I mean, you're making more drones, so it's okay. And, yeah. I mean, you're going to go Mutas. He's going to go... looks like he's going to go Roaches, so you're definitely going to have the lead here now. Especially if you get into his base and do more damage to him. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna definitely have control of the game now.
What's that?
You're definitely gonna have control of the game now. But
Yeah.
you're doing for what you have, what's going on now. I think you're doing fine. I do think your early game was very risky, but you're doing fine for the most part right now. And from this point on, I don't see how you're gonna lose. Like, it's not going to happen. So, as long like all you got to do is contain him. Just don't let him expand again, and you just win.
Yeah, he didn't have enough hiders, so I just hopped on him.
Yeah. So, I would have gone more into that replay, but I think there's just a few things in that game that are we're also kind of running short on time. There's a few things in that game that are they were kind of fucky, like right from the start, where I'm just like, okay, you'd be better off not doing this way. So I just want to give you an example, like you wanted, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, that would be excellent. I'd much rather.
All right, so head out of that replay.
While you set this up real quick, ViBE, I'll be right back.
Wait, don't leave yet. Fuck. Is he gonna take a shit? What's he doing? All right. He's taking a shit. He's like, he's gonna come back in 30 minutes. I'm back. Okay, where were we? You had to take a poo right after you showered? That sucks, dude. Thank you, people, man.
You then loading him up with so much bullshit, he had to go let
I don't know if the invite got canceled on me.
Oh, no worries. I got you. Mr. People Man said, you've been loading him up with so much bullshit that he had to go let some of it out. All right. So right. I am going to do a ZVZ build for you that I think would be great. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be Queens and Queenling Bane opener with droning defensively with a little bit of scouting, so you can react to it and be like, oh, I'm getting all in. Let's make more units if I need to. You're gonna scout about once every minute. Okay, that's the idea here. And then and then from there, you're gonna go into a decent economy of roaches, and you're just gonna go Roach Ravager, and you're gonna max out by like 8.5 minutes, 8 to 8.5 minutes. It's gonna be very fast.
Yep.
Like if you can get it down, basically.
Yeah.
And if you can accomplish this, like your build's gonna be fucking solid.
I'm usually if I'm going with the Roach style, it's usually between 8.5 to 9.
Okay.
Like I can max out pretty quick on drone, Roach Hydra, or just Roaches.
All right. So 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool is going to be the opener, and then third base before Bane Nest, and we're going to make a third queen pretty fast too, and we're going to spread creep with the third queen.
Okay.
And then we're going to go honestly up to like this is the thing too. We're going to make like a fourth queen, no matter what. But if we see someone who's being very all in, we're going to make a fifth queen and like a sixth queen as well. But if there's no all in, we're going to just stop making queens at 4.
So 16, 18, 17.
Yeah, for the opener. 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool.
Third base before
Bane Nest.
Bane.
And you also are going to take 1 drone off of gas when you have 100 for zergling speed.
Yep.
And this is that moment now where I'm making my 19th drone right now. Right now. And now I'm not going to make another larva right at 130 until about 155. If this dude were, like obviously the computer's not going to do it, but if he was going to do a 12 pool, I would have 6lings right there when he shows up. Like 6lings out of the main and 2 out of the natural. So 8 in total right when he shows up, which is huge. And if you don't see a ling move out at all, like any lings being rallied beyond it or whatever, you can be like, okay, Overlord. And as soon as you make the Overlord, put it to where your natural one is at the natural, and move your natural one now to the third base, I would say. That way, if he tries to run around your first Overlord, you can catch it with the second one.
Okay. All right. Well, so move the
Don't forget to not make the overlord right away
Yo,
and wait
move the
until like
second
155
overlord
to
to-
see if you...
So I'll say it again. Sorry, People Man was like
Yo,
doing this
sorry.
major donation, and I couldn't hear shit.
Oh, okay.
So you move the first overlord. Your very first overlord goes always to his natural. Always.
Yep.
Your second overlord sits in front of yours until 155. You move your second overlord out of your natural at 155 and go to his third base with it to spot for the third. Then, because that's when you're making another overlord to replace the overlord that just left. So your third overlord is going to replace your second overlord. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then
But I've always just sent it right across. You don't want to do that.
the reason why I say this is good is because it gives you more chance. If he runs his lings around your first overlord, you can catch it with your second overlord before you make the overlord. Does that make sense? Like before you actually at 155, there's a good chance you're going to see those lings crossing that second overlord at like 152.
Yep. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it gives you like it's not every map is always going to work out that way because some maps have longer distances than others, but it gives you another chance to not waste larva against someone who's all-inning you.
Yeah.
And then so if you catch lings hitting your base early, you obviously want to make nothing but lings as well to respond to that. And that's it. That's the whole concept there.
Game resumed.
Okay, and then now we have a few lings. I would recommend keeping these lings defensive just for now. You can send like one ling to his base in the opener, but don't send like all of them. Don't be the guy who worries about like trying to smack your opponent's third and shit like that. Just be the guy who's trying to get a good solid economy started off.
Okay.
And now we're going to make a Bane nest and we're going to make a third queen while we just injected our larva.
The third queen out of Nat.
Yeah,
Or does
yeah,
Nat,
yeah.
does it
I,
not
I
matter?
would say Nat. Almost always Nat, because you want it to be that out there faster. So this link can go scout him, whatever. I know I saw something that looked fucked up right there, but we're just like assume you're playing macro still.
Yep. Yeah. He had a couple links. I think he had 4 links there.
Yeah.
No big deal.
And then we can make our next overlords kind of spread around the front of my base, so I can see like all these different types of run bys.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna make a fourth queen.
Now you're queuing that. You're queuing the overlord move out as you make the overlord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Out of the egg. Yeah.
And do you click the minimap or?
I
do
clicked the
you,
minimap. Yeah.
use-
I clicked the minimap. Once you have a fully saturated natural or like 14, 15 plus, make your roach warren and as soon as you make the roach warren, make a new drone to go into your gas from like the main to fill it back up to 3 out of 3. And now you can make a little more lings and you can make your existing lings in the banes. And now you have, so this is the idea is like you're saturated and you have a good economy going now and you have decent coverage of your queens and shit. And then you're going to send with one of these lings you just made, send another ling into his base. And you're going to see, am I getting all in or not? That is the goal here. You can now also make an Evo chamber too. And now you're injecting 3 bases at once. And you're going to start making drones. And then if you're getting all in, you're going to immediately stop making drones. And you're going to go back into... now you'll start making roaches defensively. If you need to. And then at this point too, you can make a layer. Once you have a decently saturated third, like 8 drones or so, or beyond, take gases 2 and 3. Anywhere you want. I just do it at the natural or something. It's not a big deal. You can start your range weapons. And right around like 5 minutes again, we can be like, okay, well, we're still not getting all in. Let's go scout him again. Just, again, try to scout like roughly around every minute. And your creep spreading queen can just kind of bounce around. And remember, if you are getting all in, make more queens. If you're not getting all in, just stay on 4. It's fine.
Yeah.
And you can
keep
keep
more banes as well.
Yeah. And then just drone as fast as you fucking can. This is like the race against time here. You drone as fast as you fucking can to like 66 drones. If you're not getting all in. Because if you are not getting all in, like a lot of people will let you get away with this too. If you're not getting all in, suddenly, before he realizes he can do anything about it, you already have 66 drones, which I already have it at 5:30, and I'm already going into roaches now. And now I'm just going roaches fucking all day. and I'm going into roach speed. You can get overlord speed as soon as your layer is done. I would say get overlord speed too. And what you can start doing is go to all your overlords when you have a moment and just start doing this with them. Start telling them to patrol. And then you just...
so they can't get biled
Yeah,
down.
exactly. And then you just make roach. And then you can start a fourth base too at this point too. Once you're in like the roach making phase, you can start just making once you're in the roach making phase, you can start making a fourth base. And then you just make roaches. And then you don't make ravagers right away. You'll make them a little later. You'll make them probably around like 140 150 supply. Because you will not have the gas for it properly, honestly.
Yeah.
At the early point, if you're still cranking roaches like crazy.
So until you're kind of like out of larva, and you got plenty of gas while you're out of larva, then add on the ravagers.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, then because you want to make sure you prioritize your larva. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be like, oh, I made ravagers, but I have 7 larvae sitting there that I can't use now. And now that we're getting a bit higher here, you can start level 2 range weapons, and just keep cranking your roaches out. Keep cranking the roaches out. And now that we're at the 140 area realm of shit, we can make now we'll make a few ravagers because we can afford it a little bit. And then just go back to making roaches. And again, we're maxing. The whole point is we're maxing. We're not attacking him. We're not being super crazy multitask. We're just playing this conservative game of max the fuck out as fast as I can. And we played a defensive style where you scouted, you played safe early. And you scouted with Lings, and you had the potential to make more Queens and more Banes if he was going to all-in you. He never did. So we went all the way to good saturation of drones, and we're maxing quick. And look at how fast this fucking max is. We're already almost maxed out, where it's only 745.
Yeah, next Overlord Popul Max.
Exactly. And we already made a few, so they're almost out. And now the Overlords are popping, and now we're going to max right with this next larva pop off in like 2 seconds here.
Yeah.
And we max out at pretty much 8 minutes. At 8 minutes exactly.
Yep.
And you can go kill his ass now. Like, if you can do this build, you will win. And also, you're going to have +2s like halfway done as well. You can start +1 Carapace on this Evo Chamber after +2's done. At this point, too, you could be like, let's make an Infestation Pit. Get ready to go to Hive. Let's also maybe throw down some of my drones from the main to, like, my next base, my 4th base, etc., etc., etc. And this build will run over... This build, if you can do it like this... This is the initial form of a very high-level ZVZ.
Yeah.
And if you can do this, you will definitely get to Masters League with this.
Okay, yeah. What do you recommend for, I mean, just going out of it? You get down your Infestation Pit.
You just go 3/3 upgrades. You could start a Hive. You could start a 2nd Evo Chamber. And then if you're starting Carapace now, when level 2 range weapons is done, and you have Carapace being started to replace that Evo Chamber from then on forever can just do Carapace all the way to level 3. You can make a new Evo Chamber while you make a Hive, and this new Evo Chamber can start level 3 range weapons when it's done, when the Hive is done.
Yeah.
And it's just for going to 3/3. That's it.
How important is Carapace when you're dealing with like a max roach army?
In ZVZ, Carapace is pretty nice, and the reason why is because it doesn't really matter a whole lot. It does matter a little bit against like Roach versus Roach. But it makes the world of difference though if your opponent goes mutas and you have Roaches and Ravagers. Because having Carapace or not having Carapace makes a humongous fucking difference at how long your Roaches last in his base when mutas are out.
Okay.
So it's very, very good against mutas.
Yeah.
And then you also, if you did go muta, you could just add in a Hydroden and start going Roach Hydra or something like that, and you'd be fine.
But I mean, I hope it buys you enough time to get enough Hydras.
Right? It definitely will. It 100 like dude, if you max that fucking fast at 8 minutes, if a guy is going mutas, he's gonna have like 130 supply.
Yeah.
Like the way we maxed out there was greedy as fuck, and it's safe greed though. Because every stage of the build, we had potential Banes and Queen coverage, and we kept scouting, which is why it's not like ridiculous greed. If we saw, oh fuck, I have 16 drones on my natural, he's got 2, and he's got like 8 roaches. Well then obviously don't fully saturate to 66. Maybe stop at like 48 or something like that, or like 50, and then make roaches yourself because you're about to get all in.
Okay. and so one Evo. Well, I'm gonna be able to break this down on the. I got the replay. So
Yeah.
and then now so upgrades during ZVZ, are they just pretty much always you want Carapace, and is there any rules to when you want certain upgrades and
No,
when you don't?
it's the same
during
always.
ZVZ?
With this build I just showed you, it's going to be the same every time. Range weapons 1, range weapons 2, then start Carapace, because the reason why you start Carapace after is because you're not rushing to a hive. You're maxing on
Yeah.
layer, and then you go hive. So then that's why you have the time to be like, okay, well now I can't do anything with weapons anymore. I might as well start Carapace. But then when you go hive, while you're getting Carapace, that's going to be busy making Carapace now. Get another Evo so you can start weapons as soon as hive is done.
Yeah. And how about the Terran matchup for upgrades? If you don't mind covering one more thing, like
Well, what style are you going for?
I usually go Lingbang Hydra. Like that's my
Melee Carapace and Lingbane Hydra is melee
Yeah.
Carapace, and then if you ever transition to Aspire, if you're going Hydra, you should probably be going Broodlords. Like if you open Hydra then go into Aspire, it's probably not, because you're gonna go Muta. Muta is more about controlling throughout the game, not just to switch into late game.
Yeah.
Usually, unless it's a very specific build. But yeah, Spire then would be Carapace always, because you're gonna go Broods. But for the Evo chambers, it's just melee Carapace. Don't even worry.
Carapace with Broodlords.
Yeah, always, yes.
Does the air upgrades even affect the Broodlings?
It does. It doesn't affect Broodlings. It affects the Broodlord's initial auto attack. Broodlords have
Okay.
the process of a Broodlord fucking throwing a Broodling at a target is an auto
It
attack,
hits them.
and it does 20 damage per Broodling. And it has 2 Broodlings it can have if it has enough time to recharge 2 Broodlings, and its recharge time per Broodling is its attack speed, which is like 1.7 or some shit. Or like 1.6. I don't know exactly. It's something around there.
Yeah. And how about in versus mech? It's the same.
Versus
Just
mech?
melee.
Always weapon upgrades. Always.
Always.
Do not get Carapace on the ground against mech. Get melee weapons and range weapons against mech. If you want to use some variation of that, like Swarm Host and Lings or something like that. And get always air weapons against mech. Do not get Carapace against mech. That is the only time I'll ever say go weapons. And just in general, I would not recommend going Broods very often against mech either nowadays, because Thors are fucking stupid.
Yeah. I've lived that. I've seen that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
It's pretty bad. But all right, excellent vibe. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. Good luck.
Yeah.
And take it easy, dude. I'll have this made for a VOD and stuff probably by tomorrow.
Excellent. Yeah.
All
And then I got the replay for the build, and I got a lot of notes. So I appreciate you, Vibe. You make great content. You got me up to Diamond Zerg, you know.
Oh yeah. Thank you, dude.
It's good shit.
Thank you, man. I'll see you around the stream. Hell yeah.
And congratulations taking a game. I thought it was tomorrow.
I thought it was tomorrow too.
Game.
I thought it was tomorrow too. I actually had to play that early because of schedule conflicts, so I had to play offline.
Oh.
And then I can't stream it. I couldn't stream it because then it spoils the tournament series. Because then they'd be like, well, we already saw this.
Yeah. Now, it's still casted, though, right?
Yeah,
so
no, it still gets casted. It already was casted.
Yeah.
Actually, it happened today, I guess. So I was told the 20th, but apparently it's the 19th. But I played it on the 18th, so it already happened.
You played it on the 18th?
Yeah. It's because we had to play it early because, like, with pro gamers, there's a lot of times where they're like, I can't play this tournament and their tournament at the same time, and I can't do this in any other way. So I have to play the only time I am available, which is not when the tournament's happening. So I'm going to have to give you guys replays so you can cast my replays instead. That's how it goes sometimes in the pro world. And for people like Solar, who's playing in fucking 15 tournaments at the same time, it's kind of hard for him to, like, always be available.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Congrats on the one game off. I started doing clan wars and everything, and I've been dominating. I've been doing good. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's fun.
Thank you, man. It's good. It's good shit. It's good shit. But, dude, I'll see you around. Have a great rest of your night, man, and good luck to you.
You as well.
Take it easy, dude. All right. People Man trying to fucking continuously talk over my student here. People Man, I'll play the bit donations in a second, but thank you, dude. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed that, I have others. I say this all the time. Other videos. Go check them out. Thank you guys. I will see you in the next coaching video, the next replay analysis video, or the next B2GM guide that I make. So until then, take it easy, good luck, and go play some ladder. Peace, guys.